Go. Let everyone know that they are being recorded and transcribed for privacy purposes. Everyone's okay with that?
Yeah.
No one's in witness protection? Not that you know of? Okay. Good. Wonderful. Okay. Thank you for joining us here today. And I want to congratulate you all on entering the Health Innovation Pitch competition. You've entered a process of innovation and entrepreneurship that I think is very rewarding, and hopefully you'll learn a lot from this, and maybe even kind of walk away with one of the prizes. So good luck. My name is Todd. I'm with the Sandbox, and I'll be doing the presentations tonight and next Monday and Wednesday as well. So basically, we're going to go through a process of helping you craft your business innovation idea, your health innovation idea, put together a slide deck and a presentation, and help coach you on your presentation skills, so that on the 28th you are fully prepared for pitching your idea to our panel of judges. If at any moment you have, or any point you have any questions, please feel free. My job here is to help you, bring you to the point that you're actually putting together like what will hopefully be the best presentation of your life at this point. I'm fully confident that we can do that, and prepare you for meeting our judges, and prepare you for potentially some of the questions that they may have. Okay, so we'll be preparing for that. But in general, the things that we're going to go over and learn, you're going to find advantageous in any kind of business, health, medical, professional career. Public speaking, presentation skills, a little bit of design. All of these things are skills that are universal, I think, for any career, especially once you get into some sort of administration or management, dealing with groups. So you'll find, I think, a lot of this helpful. If at any point in time I'm really boring and going on too much, just let me know. I tend to wander off in directions, and then if I'm straying too far, just ring the dinner bell and I'll come back onto point. So we've got a couple of participants here in the classroom, and we've got a couple of people online now, so that's good. That's awesome. If anyone, you guys, I think, can hear me all right. I checked with Marwan a minute ago, but I think everyone is ready to go. So my tech hopefully will work out fine. What I'll do, I'm just going to switch over to share my screen, and hopefully everyone here will be able to see online my deck and my presentation, as well as the people that are seeing it projected here in the classroom. So just want to go over a few things about this pitch competition and what the goal of this is and how it's going to be orchestrated and judged. So at this point, I believe we have 13 teams that have entered, and everyone has been invited to these events, either virtually online or in class here. And we're going to be weaning down the 13 applicants to a final 6. And we're going to be doing that by, I think the 12th is the date that we've set for that. What we'll be doing is we'll be looking at an interim deck that you will have put together. So you won't be presenting at that point, but you'll be providing us with a little more information than you would have provided in your application. Okay, so the application was meant as a quick introduction to your idea and your topic, and we're going to be helping you right now to round that out and start putting together your presentation. On the 13th, we'll be reviewing that as a committee, and we'll be picking the final 6. Now, that doesn't mean that that's the final presentation you will have. The final 6 will have between the 12th and the 28th to continue to work on their presentation, on their business plan, and work with the committee in coaching you to further improve your presentation skills, take the sharp edges off your presentation, and give the judges present them the best deck that you can, best presentation you can. We'll be looking at a number of different categories, okay, a number of different things. Adding some people here, come on in. We're recording this session if that's all right, but come on in and have a seat. We're just starting. So on the 12th, the committee will be getting together. We'll be looking at your interim deck and picking that 6. And the things that we'll be looking for are your problem identification. We'll be looking for what your target market and opportunity is. We'll be looking for the innovation. What is your secret sauce? What is your value proposition? Okay, what is it that you're proposing to do and how innovative is it? We will ultimately be evaluating your business model and also your competition and the strength of your team, whether it's individual or it's group. And then ultimately the end, the deck quality as well. So there's a number of different criteria that we're looking at here. I think we had this emailed out a little earlier, so you can get that copy or refer to that copy that's been emailed to you. So you have basically until 1 o'clock on the 12th to give us your interim deck, and the committee will be looking at that interim deck. The 6 finalists will go on to the final presentation on the 28th, which will be held in the pit. And I believe we have 4 judges from the community that are going to be participating in this, helping us pick a winner. Are there any questions either in the room here or online? If anyone wants to ask a question, please feel free. The 12th.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So the 11th, I guess the 11th, I think is Wednesday, and that's I have a final session on Wednesday evening for people who want to attend, and you'll have until the next afternoon at 1 o'clock in order to send to us your interim deck.
And we'll know that.
Yeah, we should be able to pick and get that chosen.
Will everybody hear back regardless of whether?
Everyone will hear back. Yeah, everyone will hear back.
We need to prepare a presentation kind of thing that should include these 7 things.
Yes, and we're going to specifically go over the content of this deck and a lot of other things. So that's what these sessions are here to help you do. Yeah. Any other questions? Wonderful. Okay, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to I'm going to switch actually to one of my sites. So hopefully you all can see this online. Come on in, seat. In fact, I'm going to back up from this a little bit. If you go to cbu-iec.ca, you'll see the center's website, and at the bottom of the website you'll see a link there for the Sandbox Moodle. So this Moodle is not CBU's Moodle. This is the Sandbox, so it's a completely separate Moodle. But I have up there a number of resources, and I use those resources for teaching and training and doing the sessions that I do. So the stuff that's up there, you should be able to freely get at. It should be open to guest access, I believe, at this point. If it isn't, you can just email me or talk to me, and I can open it up to you to make sure that it is. So I'm going to go and click on that link for Sandbox Moodle, and it's going to take me to the Moodle I have for that on Sandbox. I'm just going to make it a little bigger so that everyone can see it a little more easily on the screen. And a number of the different resources I'm going to be talking about, things I'm going to be using, are linkable here. So again, I'll be using them here, and you can link to them and kind of review them at any other time in the future as well. There's a number of different presentations. I'm going to go down to the one labeled building business presentations. And that's one of the decks or one of the presentations I'm going to be, or one of the resources I'm going to be working with today. Okay. So the first thing that you want to be looking at is your business case. And there's a couple of tools that we use to do that, or we can use to do that. They're linkable here, but I've also got them. I'm just going to switch back over to PowerPoint. I have a larger PowerPoint Acrobat, just so I can switch over to some of the other that content in a larger format on the screen here. So one of these models, and this is a very quick introduction to something called lean business model. So we'll cover the introduction to this. These are the things that you want to be thinking about in putting together your business case. Again, it's a very quick introduction, and these are the kinds of things that normally the Sandbox actually does as a running course throughout the year. So we have different sessions throughout the term, in both, in fall term and coming up in the winter term, where we'll talk about some of these things more in depth. But for tonight, I want to introduce this idea of this lean business model. And I got a beautiful little colored chart here, hopefully everyone can see. And it's blocked off into the different things that you have to think about. Okay. And in fact, I've got a handout version here, and what I'll do is I'll just give that to you guys that are here. And online, you can download it actually on the Moodle for the Sandbox, so it's downloadable there as well. Or you can pop in, you can pick up a copy here. So in the lean business model, lean sort of indicates that you want to be doing things as efficiently as possible. You don't want to overcommit and run down a path with presumptions for how you think things are going to work. Now, granted, everyone's got ideas, everyone's got a mental plan. Some people write that plan down, very good. But often they may not fully look at the problem from multiple different points of views. Okay? And this lean business model is an example of that. And it's meant to do things quickly, efficiently, in a lean, simple way, in order to bring you to the point where you've more fully explored your idea. So the first item here, you basically identify what the problem is. We call it a problem. We've heard called pain. What is the pain that you're going to be trying to alleviate? Are there other alternatives already out there? Other products, competitors, things that already try to address this problem? How do they work? What are their successes? What are their failures? Understanding that problem and understanding the pain then leads you to identifying your solution. What's your solution to the problem? How are you going to cure the pain? And what metrics are you going to use? How are you going to determine if, in fact, you have solved the problem and the pain? In that, you'll have something else called a unique value proposition. You can just, there's a handout right there on the, you can grab that and feel free to have a seat. So what is it about your solution that is unique? Okay. What's your unique value proposition? And looking at that, what is your unfair advantage? What are you doing with your solution that gives you a superpower? What's your secret sauce? Okay. You know, KFC has its 11 herbs and spices, and they're not telling me what they are. That's their secret sauce. That's their unique value proposition. So what are you doing in your solution that is unique? Channels. Okay. How do you reach your customer? Okay. How is it being sold? How is it being marketed? How are you reaching your audience? Okay. Is this an online digital play, an app, a retail product, business to business? Is it sold through specialty outlets? Do you work through medical professionals and through consultancies? You know, what are the channels you're going to use in order to get your solution to your customer that has this problem? And then looking at the customers, you know, how do they break down? What are their characteristics? And their characteristics often include, you know, early adopters, people that are sort of quick on the draw, people that sort of are late adopters. What do they look like? Okay, realistically, in what timeline are they actually going to start to adopt your solution? Okay. And then we get to the money problem, the money question. Cost structure. What is this really going to cost? What is it going to cost you to develop and deliver and service your solution? And what revenue can you reasonably expect to attain from this? Now, again, this is a subject area that we can, and other sessions we'd be able to spend a lot more time on. But what I'm here doing is introducing you to this entire concept, and I'm providing you with, you know, a template. So I've handed that out. It's available online, as we talked about. So the idea is with this fillable document is you can actually start to write down your ideas. Okay. Don't worry about being right. Don't worry about being wrong. Don't worry about having fully structured sentences. Just bullet points are fine. Okay. Completing the document and fleshing out and thinking about what your solution actually does for your customer. How does it address the pain? So like I said, this is available online, fill it out. I'm going to get you to actually complete this, not here in this class in this session, but for the next session, maybe on Monday. Again, if you want to work on this and fill out as much of this as possible, put your thoughts down on paper. In the next session, and even in between, if you want to combine, and I can actually kind of address this with you individually. Okay, you can ask me questions, I can give you some advice, or give you some thoughts. This will involve a lot of research. Okay, now keep in mind with this is a pitch competition that is relatively short. You're not going to end up with a complete business plan by 28th of January. Okay. But hopefully you'll have a lot of work done towards it. Okay. But these kind of projects actually take a long time to fully develop. Okay. We're just starting you on the path and hopefully giving you the tools. Okay. Like Lean Canvas, and the mentorship and the facilities of the university and staff and professors in order to help round out this idea. Okay. And kickstart some innovation and entrepreneurship among the student population. Does anybody have any questions about this lean business model? There's probably 1,000, but feel free to. Anyone? See, I've explained it so well that no way that anyone can ever have a question about it. Thank you very much.
Can you explain further about the key metrics?
Yes, I can. Just give me 1 sec. I think there's people waiting in the lobby. And admit, there we are, sorry. Okay. I think everyone's in. We just added a couple more people. That's good. So key metrics. Key metrics are like anything you can count. And you'll hear people say that it's what you measure that matters. So I can't kind of give you a complete list of what you might measure as a metric, okay? But they could include things like size of potential market, number of people. Okay, it could include sales projections. It could include, gee, gosh, so many different things. Conversion rates, number of competitors in the market. Timeline, so you want to be at a certain point at a certain point in your project by a certain date. Okay, you've been able to sort of build a prototype by a certain date. You've been able to test that prototype at another time or another date. You've been able to do research and interviews with potential markets and customers by another date. Okay, so key metrics and dates in many cases that will identify where you are on your path. It's sort of like they say you should like put things on your fridge, these goals on your fridge, and you kind of put a magnet on a picture that I want to be here. I want to have a trip to Greece by March, and you put that picture of Greece. And here, what you're doing, you just say, I want to have a business presentation, my deck done, my pitch deck done by, in our case, the 28th. Okay, and then another date, I'm looking to do some research, talk to potential clients, potential customers. Talk to people in the medical community, get some feedback, find out about prototyping, find out about sales, anything can be measured being a metric. Are there any other questions so far? Okay, wonderful. So I'm going to switch over and I'm going to look at another methodology for building a product. And again, these are very introductory, cursory looks at the innovative process and how you can help move down that pipeline. So Lean Canvas is one tool that people use. Another tool is design thinking, and you'll see overlap between them. One's not better than the other, they're just different. There are different ways of potentially looking at some of the same process. Okay. So the first phase of this, and again, this is in a template that's online, back on the Sandbox website. on the Moodle. So we'll go back to that in a second, have a look at that for some of the other resources, but you can download that from the Sandbox template, from the Sandbox Moodle. The first phase is, we call it empathize. And here's where we get to that pain part again, like what we were looking for, like what is the customer's problem? What is their pain? Design thinking does that. And they describe it in terms of empathizing with the customer, with the end user. What are they going through? What are their actual issues? In that process, fully understanding their position helps you get a better grasp on what you've got to do to solve the problem. And again, that word empathize is used because you're not just pointing to a problem, you want to feel the problem. You want to understand it at that level. And the second phase is, is to define your solution to that, is to define how you're going to respond and solve that problem. And then we ideate. So design thinking is has a little more to do with the actual prototyping and idea creation process. And there are actually some exercises that we go through. We do design thinking classes here within the center. In fact, when you look around, you'll see some of these sticky notes that are on the wall. Like that's a process. We break this down one sticky note at a time, one idea at a time, one solution to a problem at a time, and we go wide. We come up with a wide variety of potential problems and solutions. And then once we've defined this from many different points of view, we narrow down. We go wide and then we go narrow. Okay, and we hope to fully empathize the problem and have defined a solution and then ideated, okay, how we can actually build this prototype out. Okay. Now, when I say prototype, it doesn't necessarily have to be. And in fact, it most times is not. It's not like some huge scientific 3D modeled CNC machined process. We're talking about things made with popsicle sticks and cardboard and cutout paper, lists of things that you can use to help test your idea. And then once you've tested it, you've probably found that there's a lot of things that you may not have considered. And then you kind of go right back again. And you start this process all over again, okay? And you iterate, okay? You iterate means you come up with a new version of your solution, an improved process, an improved prototype. And that cycle could go and does go on in a cyclical fashion over and over again until you've come up with what you believe to be, I don't want to say ideal, okay? Because at a certain point, your idea and your prototype has to actually touch your end user, your customer, okay, the patient, the person in pain. Okay. And the iteration starts when you come up with the idea, but never really stops. Okay. Even after you've released or developed a product that may be in the marketplace or people might be working with, you're always iterating. You're always saying, how can I make this better? And we're familiar with that process. In terms of software, we know that there's version 2, 3, 4, 5 of software. They don't wait until the software becomes perfect. Okay, they iterate. They make it better continually all the time. Now, of course, we're working within the area of healthcare and health innovation. So obviously, there's certain safety things and issues there, but you can't look at a medical process or device or health innovation that hasn't probably improved and gotten better over time. Okay, so the iteration process, the idea creation, the prototyping, the testing process continues. And similarly, this template here is available online. We're going to encourage you to begin this. Now, this is a little more of a longer range plan than maybe what you can do within a couple of days with the Lean Canvas. Okay, Lean Canvas probably provides you a nice little starting point. But this is something that you will track and work with through not just this process, but as you continue to work on your business ideas and other business innovation ideas as well. So, are there any questions so far?
What's the date again? The last date of the submission?
Okay, so 1 second, I'm gonna stop sharing, bring us back to, great, sorry?
What was the last date of the submission?
Okay, so this process here, what we're doing is we're getting you to develop an interim pitch deck. So we'll be doing these sessions up to Wednesday. On Thursday at 1 o'clock, you're going to be submitting your interim deck at that point. We'll be taking those decks, we'll be picking the top 6 candidates, and those top 6 candidates will continue to work with us till the event on the 28th.
So by that date, we have to fill those 2 templates and submit it, or we have to make a separate PowerPoint presentation.
Okay, you're going to make a PowerPoint presentation. Okay, if you choose, this is entirely up to you. If you choose Monday, so the 9th, I'd like, or anytime there and after, but ideally, if you're serious about this and want to take full advantage, if you come back in with your lean canvas template filled up with some ideas, I can help you and give you some feedback. Okay. So the idea here is over this next week, 6 days, I guess 6, 7 days, I'm going to be working with you and you're going to be beginning to develop your pitch deck. The start of that is to round out your business idea. So although for the rest of the evening, I'm going to be talking about building a pitch deck, I kind of needed to address the expectations of the business case for the solution that needs to be provided. Okay, the what are you going to do part that is going to be turned into a pitch deck.
So for example, the business idea that we have submitted in the submission form.
Yep.
What if we're not happy with that business idea and we've come up with another idea? Will that work?
Yeah, every idea will evolve. So don't feel constrained by what you have completed on that form. Okay. I mean, I think most people will probably continue with an idea on that path, but if something else strikes you at this point that is a better idea, please feel free to work with that idea. Okay. We will be making an evaluation on the 12th of which of those ideas, which interim deck, who's done the work, who's got the idea at that point. And we'll be picking the best 6 projects at that point, and they will be the ones presenting on the 28th. Okay. Other questions? That part? Good, okay. So now we're going to move on to the next part of our presentation. I'm going to share my screen again. And so I'm referencing back, hopefully everyone online can see the Sandbox Moodle. And we're going to talk about preparing your deck. So I've got a couple of presentations for that. I'm going to start with Guy Kawasaki's 20-30-40. It's the second item there, but I'll start with Guy Kawasaki's 20-30-40. So Guy Kawasaki, has anyone heard of Guy? Personal friend of mine. That's why I call him Guy. Hey, Guy. Guy Kawasaki is actually an Apple fellow. He goes back as one of the first employees at Apple. He's an evangelist for an investor in a product called Canva. You may have heard of Canva recently, among a lot of other things. He's an angel investor. He's written 6 or 7 books, and he's been around a long time. He's been around almost as long as the whole of Silicon Valley, so to speak, in the tech movement. Come on in. Come on in, have a seat. And he's seen a lot of presentations. He's seen a lot of pitches. And he's developed this 10-20-30 rule. Okay. 10-20-30. 10 stands for the number of slides that should be in your deck. Now, 10 is a round number, could be 11, could be 9. But the recommendation is 10. We start with 10 slides in a deck. Why do we have 10 slides? See a lot of people with 40, 50, 60. What's the purpose of 10? Too long. You have to hit someone with a very specific and interesting pitch. You got to catch their attention. And you've got to weed out the detail. 10 slides means you got to pick the best of your pitch and present it. 20, what does 20 mean?
Longer than 20 minutes.
20 minutes. Now, could be 15. Honestly, 20 is probably way too long these days. This 10, 20, 30 has been around for a while, and your pitches are going to be limited to 5 minutes. Okay, and you'll see pitch competitions with pitches that are anywhere from 3 to 10 minutes, like, you know, so 20 minutes, again, thumbnail, but the idea being that it shouldn't go on for hours. And 30. Well, know what 30 means?
The main ideas should be presented the prior 30% of all your pop-ups.
That's a great idea. Not 30 though, but a good idea. Not the one over. 30 means 30-point font. Now, the 30-point thing is a little weird because of the way text sometimes displays in print versus on a screen and different operating systems and the whole bit. But the whole point is you don't have paragraphs of text. You know, the average letter that you would write is done in like 10 to 12-point typeface. So 30 is saying that you should have large text. And what that means is you can't go on with paragraphs of information. You're going to provide highlights, bullets, the most important piece of information. And that goes along with the 10 thing, the 10 slides. So the whole purpose of this is to focus what you're doing. So the 10 slides that he's recommending, and we'll look at this in a little more detail in a minute, is identify your problem and your solution. What is your business model? And what is your secret sauce? What's your underlying magic, the technology that you're using? You have to cover the marketing, sales, competition. You have to look at your team and tell your investor, judges about your team's strengths. Look at what projections you expect, what your milestones are. And in the end, you make your ask, your call to action. Okay, I'd like this investment. Okay, I'd like you to join our team. You know, you've got an ask of some sort, your call to action. Summarize the call to action. So 10 slides, 20 minutes, 30-point font. Okay. Again, this presentation here is on the Sandbox Moodle. You can refer to it, and if you Google this, you can come up with Kai Kawasaki on this site. All this is available from his online site. Okay. I'm going to quickly go back to wrong Moodle. Multiple Moodles open here, and I'm going to go right to. He's got a site online that is, in fact, the only 10 slides you need in a pitch. So we're going to look at this in a little more detail. So what are the 10 slides? Now, the thing I'd like to add at this point is that these are rules. And as you've all heard, rules are made to be broken. But the other thing I add to that is you're only really allowed to break the rules if you know the rules. Everything else is just random. And when you break a rule, you've got to have a reason for doing it. So I don't want to tell you that these 10 slides are exactly what every pitch should be. There will be some variation. You will all have derivatives of these 10 ideas. Okay? But you got to understand the concept and the idea and why these are presented as ideal slides for a presentation. So the first piece of information on a slide, you want the title. Okay? You want the company name, you want the name of your product, you want the contact information, you want the information about your principles. Okay? Now, this is just a very basic deck. This is meant to be sort of not really a template you fill in. There's a lot of design ideas that you could put together, and we'll talk about those. But if you look at some of the way that this is presented, you'll see that there's nice big bold calls to action titles here. Okay, title's nice and bold. It's big. It's easily readable. Everyone online can see this. Everyone in the room can see it. Okay, it's following some of these design ideas, these 10, 20, 30 that we've established already. Okay, so You have to get to the point. What is the problem? Describe the pain that you're alleviating, okay? And or the pleasure you're providing to the end user, to the customer, okay? So your idea is to prevent this, is to present this dramatic problem and interest the investor slash judges. You want to grab them and capture their attention. You want it to be dramatic and interesting and relevant. And then you want to describe the value proposition. Okay. What is the value? What are people getting out of your solution, out of the pain that you're alleviating? How are they benefiting from this? Then you get to, we say, your secret sauce. What is it? What is your unique value proposition? What is it that you are doing that no one else can do? Now, keep in mind that in the process of describing this or laying out your plan, the visuals are important. Now, this slide here has a fair bit of text on it. He's just trying to describe to you, what he's trying to do here. But the more diagrams, schematics, illustrations, charts that you provide, the better. Now, when I say the more, that doesn't mean you can put 50 or 60 in there. What I mean is, pick your best 1, 2, 3 charts for this presentation. 1, 2, 3 visuals. Okay. Pictures, as they say, are worth 1,000 words. Okay. And a prototype is even better. If you've got something you can actually put on the table and say, here is my idea. Okay. You've got even more value to your story. I use the word story because ultimately that's what you're building here. Is you're building a story. You're hitting touch points. You're covering certain pieces of information. Okay. But you need to present this in an engaging way. Okay. You need to be capturing them just like a kid who's watching a Walt Disney movie, like Toy Story or Cinderella, kids that are transfixed with this story there with these characters. Woody and Cinderella and Snow White, like kids are captivated by that. You want to captivate your investor in a similar fashion. Okay? And you interest them with that opportunity and how you are approaching it in a unique way. Okay, and what value you can bring to the equation. The next slide, the next recommendation is in the form of a business model. Okay. Now, we're not expecting fully formed business models through this process, but what you're presenting to us has to be realistic. Okay. There can't be, somehow magically this idea will turn into a business. Okay. There has to be a customer, there has to be a revenue stream, there has to be an understanding of the cost of delivery. And in the end, it isn't a charity per se. Okay. If there's no understanding of where the money is going to come from in order to produce this solution, okay, then ultimately the pitch, the business idea, it doesn't succeed. Okay. So what is the business model? As it says here, I like this slide. Explain who has your money temporarily in their pockets and how are you going to get it? With that includes information, the sort of information that's on the lean business model. Okay. So when you look at that lean business model and you look at, the cost structure, at the revenue streams, you're looking at channels. Okay. How does this actually get to touch real people in the real world? These are the kind of things that you need to fill in this case. Now, you may have an idea for all of this now, or very likely we're going to work on that over the next week or so. We're going to outline some, I'll help you with your project. I'll say, well, here's some potential channels. Here's some potential business models. Here's some potential revenue streams or financing options. Okay. Ultimately, it's for you to identify where you want this to go and how it's going to get there. And we're going to be here to help a little bit, but ultimately we're just going to be answering your questions and helping to fill in some of the blanks. And hopefully you'll be able to come to building a more cohesive final business innovation, health innovation. Go to market. And I love this slide as well. You know, the answer, go viral. Oh, I'm going to use social media. Okay. Whenever anyone says, I'm going to use social media, what I hear is I have no idea how this is actually going to find its market. Social media is great for a lot of things, but it isn't just a catch-all automatic solution. Okay. To start by saying, oh, I'm going to use social media, that's sort of like saying, I expect my customers are going to breathe oxygen. Of course you are. And of course they breathe oxygen. Of course the business case and the business model is going to use a lot of channels, including social media and going viral. Okay. So we are going to be hoping that there's going to be a fair bit more thought put into the go-to-market plan than just saying, this is going to automatically go viral and people are going to love it. Competitive analysis. Now, the most common thing that I hear from people that are, say, approach me with a business idea or want some input or mentoring is, I've got this idea, I can't tell you what it is, okay? And no one's doing it. Okay? First of all, there's no way that I can actually help anyone if they can't tell me what their idea is, or anybody could be expected, okay? And if you're saying, well, there's no competition, you see, there's an interesting thing here. When you say something, okay, you think one thing, but that doesn't mean the listener is hearing the same thing that you think you're saying. Okay. The second you say, well, there's no competition, I'm the first person to do this. An investor, a judge will go, well, if no one's doing it, there must be a reason. Okay. They're hearing that, you know, no one else thinks this is a good idea. In many cases, they'd rather hear there's 5 competitors in this market, but my solution has these unique properties. Okay, my secret sauce is better than everyone else's. Okay, identifying your competition and hopefully, in fact, finding competition. That in most cases is actually, it validates your idea. Someone else thinks it's good as well. You virtually cannot find a single market with no competition. Competition is in fact validated. Okay. So you have to find your competition. You have to evaluate what they do, how well they do it, what pain they alleviate, what their customers are, who they are, and how you're going to do things differently. Better, okay? Maybe sometimes not even better. Sometimes you just have a different angle on your solution. There's all kinds of products in the marketplace that are like that. Okay, car market. Okay, can you imagine a world where we had one car manufacturer? No, because maybe cars aren't a good idea. Maybe at one point everyone thought they were, but you know, people in North America anyway like cars. So yeah, we want to be able to buy Cadillacs and Kias, right? We want Jeeps and we want Toyotas. They're different vehicles for different markets and different people with different needs. So it's not just a matter of looking at and hoping to find a blank competitive landscape. In fact, if it's a valid market, many times you're going to find that there's someone there with something that leads to that. Okay. I was listening to something the other day. It was a podcast I was listening to, and they were talking about opportunity and the path between a truly innovative idea and the present. Okay. And the thing about that idea, it's sort of like a house with a room in it. Okay. So that room contains this true innovation. But that's not even apparent to anyone until you walk in the front door. You can't even see the door to the room. Okay? And it's not even apparent sometimes till you walk in the house and you enter the kitchen. Okay? There's a room with a whole set of ideas and things that are in it. And you don't even see the next idea or the next door to the next room until you got there. Okay? So competition is like that. You have a situation where people enter a marketplace, people come in with a solution, and that opens up all kinds of other possibilities. You're all familiar with the telephone. Okay? We all got telephones in our pockets these days. Okay, so Alexander Graham Bell invented the telephone, 1880 something, 1890 something. I should know. I lived just down the street from here. But basically, he invented the telephone. Do you think that he envisioned the cell phone in your pocket? Like, so is it worthwhile? Like, should anyone have said, "Oh, like that Bell guy, he already invented the phone. We don't have to work on that anymore." Okay. You know, the device that's in your pocket, the cell phone. How many different technologies have to come together to get this to work? Right? Yeah, okay, well, it's a telephone, sort of. Okay, but it's also a computer, right? But it's also a little theater, isn't it? Okay, it's also got a sound system, you know, and it also works wirelessly by magic through RF radio technology. If Alexander Graham Bell hadn't invented the phone, and Guglielmo Marconi had not invented wireless technology, okay, and Gordon Moore had not invented the microchip, like, and I could go on and on and on, impossible. Okay? So sometimes your competitors are, in fact, the people opening up these doors to these rooms in this magical house that lead you to the next innovation. Management team, who's involved? Okay. There's the speaker, business innovation and international development speaker, Ernesto Ceroli. I think one of my other presentations, I have some of his stuff in there. He's actually said something really interesting. He said, there's no such thing as an entrepreneur. He said they're entrepreneurs. And if you look at that, he's not wrong. Okay? Yes, Steve Jobs got a whole lot of the limelight, but Steve Wozniak was his partner. He was the technical person to Steve Jobs' sales and innovation and creativeness. Well, Wozniak was creative too. You're all familiar with Bill Gates, but Steve Ballmer was his partner from high school. Okay, Alexander Graham Bell and his wife Mabel, like the support that she provided and the innovation that she helped. She's responsible for actually putting together the Aviation Society when Bell was experimenting with airplanes. Okay? So a management team is stronger. Not everyone can be perfect or great at everything, which is where teams come together. Unless you're Elon Musk. Elon's got some, Elon's got some troubles these days, does he not? If I had maybe 2 months ago when I would mention Elon Musk in a class or a presentation, oh, Elon is just brilliant. Yeah, that was yesterday. Okay, now Elon is still brilliant. But sometimes if you're going it alone, yes, you can strike gold all by yourself. But having someone by your side or a team of people by your side that offers other counsel and other ideas, sometimes that can work as well. Remember, I said you got to know the rules before you can break the rules. Okay. So within a management team, you've got people that are creative, designers, builders, prototypers, financial people, okay, managers. There are different aspects to seeing any enterprise come to fruition. And one person doing everything, no, and Elon never did everything. That's his. Does anyone know how Elon started? How did Elon started? That?
Open AI.
Open AI. No, not started. What?
Sector. I just he started recording for the SIP, and after he sold it for 130 million, he got 30 million, then he invested in PayPal.
Okay. Yeah.
And that was the second, I guess he got that with B2B.
He had a path.
Yeah.
Right. He really wanted to put a man on Mars. That's his goal. But he started in finance. He actually started in Canada in finance, working for Scotiabank. And he had an idea back then, back in I don't know if it's the 80s, late 80s or early 90s, but at that point in time, all these computers were coming out and they were able to sort of make predictions about financial markets. And he went to the bosses at Scotiabank. It's like, you guys should do this. This would be amazing if you could do it. And they were like, well, kid, go away. Okay. He saw opportunity. He was in banking. Okay, he saw that that was ripe for disruption, and he disrupted banking with PayPal. And he took that profit and he went on to invest in other companies. As you said, there's a line of aligned companies there, including at this point, he's got a rocket company, he's got a company called the Boring Company, he's got a flamethrower company, I believe. Tesla, of course, he didn't start Tesla. No, he invested in Tesla and then took it over. Okay, and even that, he very nearly went bankrupt with Tesla. He got bailed out by the US government. But there was a team of people. There was a team on his rocket adventure. There was a team on his Tesla adventure. I don't know if he has a team yet on the Twitter adventure. Okay, I think he's at the process where he's about ready to build a team. And who knows how that'll work out. We may go back to thinking that he's a genius in the next coming months, or we may shake our head wondering what happened. Financial projections and key metrics. We need to have an idea that financially this plan of yours, this innovation of yours is going to work out. Okay, we are obviously not invested in looking at fully analyzed projections, fully costed projects, but we do need an idea that you're on a path that could lead to something sustainable, something that work out. In the wider scope, when you're looking at financial projections, as it says here, do bottom up, not top down. Okay, so top down means, well, there's 8 billion people in the world, and 30% of them like ice cream. So that means I have a market of, what was that, 300 million? 300, no, what's a third of 8 billion, whatever that is. 1 point some billion people. My market is 1 point some billion people. If I get a third of 1% of 1.1 billion people, of course I'm going to become rich. Top down doesn't work. Okay. If you're making your argument based on those top down numbers, it's obvious to someone who's an investor or a judge that you really haven't dug into what the opportunity you have is. Okay. So you work bottom up. You know, how many people have a certain medical issue? How many people in North America? Okay. What other competitors are there for that certain problem in the marketplace already? How many hospitals, nurses, doctors deal with this? Is there a current financial, like a current value to that market? You know, what's the market for diabetes medication these days? What's the market for any one of a number? What's the market for COVID medication these days? So there's one piece of that market. So you want to bring your estimates up from the bottom, not down from the top. But we're not looking for super in-depth information, but you do have to have an idea where you're going with that. Current status. Where are you? What's your team look like? What's your next step? In this case here, like how will you use the money that you're going to get? What's your timeline? What are you going to do? And it's just this final slide here. No one knows every answer. They talk about liquidity here, right? No one knows every answer to every question. But you should have thought of, even if you don't have the answer, you should have thought about the problem that is sort of facing you. Okay. So those are our 10 slides. And again, they're a guideline. They're not carved in stone. No one took a chisel and went to a rock and started banging away, carving these in stone, but they are a solid guideline. You can take these recommendations for this project we have here, for this health innovation pitch, and the same thing for every other presentation that you're going to do in your university career and your professional career. You can, with some modification, you can apply these ideas, these rules to just about any presentation that you have. Now, something else involved in that presentation, you notice that I'm the one that's actually presenting this to you. I want the attention on me. I want to be convincing you that I know what I'm talking about, that my idea is worthwhile. I'm not sitting there reading the slides off the screen. Okay, paragraph of text, row for row, bullet. If you're reading bullet for bullet, you're not really engaging your audience. And I want to thank you all for coming. This is, as I started off saying, I want to congratulate everyone that's entered the competition. And I want to congratulate you for having the interest to kind of come in and of course attend online as well. In order to prepare for this, but also grow as a profession. Okay, all these skills that we're learning are completely transferable. Okay, one of them being that hopefully we're going to be able to teach you how to present, how to actually talk to a group and influence people, convince them that your ideas are valid. Are there any questions at this point? Anyone like to make a comment maybe on the 10 slides? Anyone think they're great? Anyone think that they're dumb? Anyone think that there's maybe better options, or anyone online? Speak up, please.
Yes, there's someone online that has a question.
Okay.
Hi. My question goes to us. I wanted to know regarding the business idea, does it has to do with healthcare? Because if you're looking at the healthcare, the government are in charge of the healthcare. I mean, the government is the sole distributor of of healthcare in Canada. And doesn't that streamline the whole idea? I mean, doesn't that bring the conception of policy instead of business model or business? I don't know if you understand what I'm trying to say.
Okay, so I guess I'll address it this way to start. This is a health innovation, so the idea does have to have a health aspect, a solution to a health problem. As far as the marketability of it, honestly, whenever I have someone that pitches an idea at me, Canada's not a very big market. Okay, so if you're thinking that your solution only works in Canada, it's probably not that great a solution. Okay, so health issues exist everywhere. We have much bigger markets in the world than Canada. And hopefully, I mean, the stronger applications, the stronger solutions, the stronger ideas will have universal application everywhere. In addressing the Canadian market specifically, yes, the Canadian government or the provinces actually pay for medical care. And there are some details there that might be slightly different in Canada than they would be in the United States. But those are also different in Germany. They have a different healthcare system in Germany, and they have a different healthcare system in Japan. So yes, you might want to consider the worldwide marketability of your concept, but I would encourage you not to just make your plans based on what is honestly a very small country, Canada. Any other questions or comments?
Status, accomplishments, timelines, and funds.
Yes.
So if we're trying to get the funds from just Nova Scotia Health.
Yep.
Are you expecting us to have like an idea on, like, for a nugget of an idea that we're presenting? Should we have an idea of how to like approach Nova Scotia Health, or how to, like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I can tell you how to invest your money, but I don't know how to tell Nova Scotia Health to do that.
We're not expecting anyone to have. We're not expecting anyone to walk in the door with a finished product. Okay. And now, granted, if someone has something finished product or something in a prototype stage, or has already walked down a path to a certain extent, that helps strengthen their idea. Maybe their idea might not be at its core as good as someone else's concept and innovation.
Yeah.
That may not be further down the road. So don't think that that you need to be at a marketable stage or approaching a customer. Don't think you need to be that way. Don't think that if someone else in the competition has walked that journey a little further down the road, that automatically makes them a better candidate for this competition, or even a better candidate for their innovation overall. Okay. So no, you don't need to have identified a customer. You don't need to know the finances. Most of the people in this competition are starting at the idea stage, which is completely the expectation. Okay.
So I mean, I do want to launch Shark Tank and Dragon. So like, if I'm telling you like that I need, your money, but I don't have an idea of how to like, produced this prototype
Yeah.
or its final product and even how to market. I mean, I can generally assume how to market it, but I don't know how to like bring it to the finish to the customer.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering how,
It's interesting. I like the fact that you brought up Shark Tank or Dragon's Den or whatever,
Yeah.
because that's everyone's common conception of this pitching idea. And that's theater.
Yeah.
That's theater. Now, granted, there are some real life aspects there, but ultimately that is theater. And there's different kind of investment that people will make at different points. Dragon's Den, the people that are successful at Dragon's Den, those people aren't walking in with what they would call looking for angel investors.
yeah, exactly. No, they've already done all this work.
Yeah, they probably have, yeah. Or otherwise they wouldn't be in the room.
Yeah, I'm just kind of wondering like what would go on on a couple of these slides.
You may not, okay, so, of the 10 slides that are here,
Yeah,
I'm not expecting a carbon copy of these 10 slides.
no, yeah, I
And,
know.
and a couple of them are gonna be pretty thin. The
Okay.
financials are gonna be pretty thin,
Okay,
okay?
okay,
The core idea, the concept, and the secret sauce, that should not be thin.
Yeah.
That should be well thought out. And you've seen people that have gone on to the TV shows like Dragon's Den or whatever, and they walked in with one idea and didn't even know that they had, as part of that, they had done something that in fact was of more value, so to speak, okay? So even though they hadn't done the legwork on the core of what they had done, someone there in the room, one of the judges, recognized the value of this part of their project, this part of their pitch. Yeah, forget the retail play, the intellectual property's got value.
Yeah.
Okay, you walk in looking, okay, I've done all this work and I got markets and stores. Okay, that's great. But that's a lot of work. We want the intellectual property.
Yeah.
So you see that happen all the time where someone walks in with one idea and it takes a fresh set of eyes to understand that there's other opportunities there. So to recap, yes, some of these slides will be thin.
okay.
Some of them, but the core ones that have to do with the problem and the solution and the special sauce, the unique value, the unique solution, those should be well thought out.
Yeah.
And everyone will have a different mix.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Yes.
Am I wrong to conclude that in the health innovation pitch, what we're looking forward is the 30% sector towards the health and 70% on the business model, or do you want a 50-50 thing?
You know what? I don't know if we hadn't set a guideline in the committee for that. And I think, as I said, some people will walk in with certain parts that are much stronger. So they may have a better innovation, a better idea, and their business side may not be that strong. That's fine. Someone may walk in with an idea that, well, like it's maybe not as innovative, but they figured everything else out. They've got channel, so we're not presupposing that people are going to be exceptionally or exceptionally strong in either category. We're going to be looking at it holistically.
It's better to have a better idea or to have a better business plan?
Better to have both. Yeah. I mean, ultimately, this is not even we're not even at the angel investment. This is a pitch competition. Okay. So we are looking for an innovative idea. Okay. If the idea is not innovative, I think we'd personally, and we, one of the people that's going to be having some input on this, there has to be some level of innovation there. It's great if there's some marketing involved. Okay. But the innovation also has to be realistic, right? I'm gonna walk in, I'm gonna cure diabetes. It's a great idea. You're probably, you have to have a lot of real strong support for how you're gonna do this, right? So there's a difference also between a pie in the sky optimism, blue sky idea versus, is this actually doable? So you have to put together the innovation and have enough of the doability baked into your idea that leads us with confidence that you're going to be able to pull this off. Now, the other, the dirty little secret about pitch competitions? You know what the most important part of the pitch competition is? What's that?
How you present.
You. Now, you've seen this on Dragon's Den all the time. Somebody walks in with an absolute stinker of an idea. Right? But one of the dragons says, but I like you. This idea, not so good, but the next idea you have, I believe in your ability to carry this off. So you shouldn't necessarily just be thinking idea, concept, and business. There's more to it than that, and you are, in fact, probably a bigger part of this equation than you probably give yourself credit for at this point.
We're talking about Canada as a small place.
Yep.
Can our innovation be like problems that are faced in other countries, but it's not a crisis here in Canada?
Yep. 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 There's no preconceptions coming in. No preconceptions coming in. Canada's got what, almost 40 million people. India and China, 1.4 billion each. United States, 380 million, almost 400,000. Like, so when I say a small country, yeah, think big. Don't be afraid to think big. Okay. Okay, 6 o'clock. Does anyone want a break at this point? Do you want to, or shall I continue power on through? I must be really captivating and interesting for you guys to be sitting still this long. I appreciate it. I really do. Appreciate it. Okay, I'm going to move on to my next set of slides here. Let me share my screen. And then we're going to go to, I'm going to switch gears a little bit here. And I'm going to look at, we're going to get into the functional development of designing a deck. Okay. And we'll break it into pieces. There'll be a visual design element, which will be universal. This is one of the most universal parts of this whole session. How do you design a deck? How do you design, a letter, a business card, a PowerPoint deck, a slide, okay? So one of the resources that I go to is something called the Non-Designer's Design Book. And I've been using this for way too long. This book is in its 6th or 7th edition. And I recommend everyone, it's only a thin little book. I recommend everyone should go out and buy it if they're going to be doing any kind of business presentations at all, or designing anything. And when I say design, you don't have to be a painter, you don't have to be an artist, but you have to understand a little bit about communication. And this is sort of visual communication. And I'll jump right into it. Okay, this book lays things out very simply. And the way I like to put it is that this lays out rules for creating a presentation. You don't even have to know if you don't even know what good design is or bad design is. If you follow these rules, your presentations will be better. I've literally been teaching this for decades, and I always go back to this Non-Designer's Design Book. I've only found one student in my entire 30-year career who could not master this. Almost everyone can. Okay. Contrast. These are very basic, broad rules. Contrast. Contrast creates interest. Okay. And contrast. If something's big, something else should be small. If something's dark, something else should be light. Contrast. Okay. The problem with the lack of contrast is it creates confusion. So you look at this image here on the left. These two guys on the left, they're pretty close, aren't they? Like, that means you got to spend more time trying. Your brain has to spend more time analyzing the difference between them. And that's just wasted time. That creates confusion. On the right, the old person and the young person, contrast. They are very different. If there's something big, you should make something small. If there's something colorful or something dark, you should make something colorful. Okay. Contrast adds interest. It draws attention. So here we have these two slides, or these two newsletters. Who one on the left's not bad necessarily. It's not the worst design I could have ever seen, but the one on the right does grab your attention more. How does it do that? Contrast. Think back to the slides from Guy Kawasaki. Nice big blue title. You saw it, you anchored on it. Visually, you understood what the core content of that slide was. Here we know that this is a newsletter. Repetition. Once you've made a decision, design decision, stick with it. Okay? You want to make sure that that you're not creating a wide variety of design elements. So on the left here, you know, there's a group of these people that are on a bowling team together. On the left, can you tell who's on the bowling team? No, I can't. I mean, you're psychic. I saw that when you came in. I knew he was psychic coming in. People on the right, the green and the green pants, and they're a bowling team. They've got this repetitive element that they synchronize themselves with. You get information out of that. It helps organize the world. Okay, repeatable aspects. Alignment. Okay. Alignment is important. Okay, it helps organize what you're looking at and creates a flow through a document. Okay, and everything on a page should be aligned with something else on a page. So in the first example, top left, everything is center aligned. So the big title, nice big bold sock and bushkin, contrasting the smaller Ambrosia Sydney, I guess that's the name, of course. And then we've got the address information grouped together below it. Okay, and it's all center aligned. Now, you can have center alignment, you can have left alignment, you can have right alignment, okay? But everything on the page should ultimately align up with something else on the page, okay? So the example on the right, sock and bushkin, that's all right aligned, okay? And, you know, where the N finishes in bushkin and the Y finishes in Sydney and then the address, that's all aligned on the right. Now, you don't have to pick one alignment. Not everything has to be all left or all right, but you'll find that if there's something on the page, something else should align with it. Okay, it helps, or you see, you don't want your brain being confused. It's not just sit there dumbfounded, but it doesn't help organize and process the information. So alignment is important. And this example here, this is not by any stretch the best design ever, but on the left, we've got a combination of lefts and centers and rights. And of course, the example on the right, it's just organized. It's just your brain can read through it a little more easily. Okay. Repetition, back to that for a sec. So repetition, once you've made a design decision, okay, you want to repeat that decision. So in this case here, we've got contrast and repetition coming together. The repetition here is the color. Okay, the repetition here is the size of the font that's used for the headings is repeated. Okay, the type style is repeated. Okay, you don't necessarily, repetition doesn't necessarily lead to things being boring. Over repetition might. Okay, but choosing and going with repeatable elements helps organize things, and people will just understand it better. This example here for repetition. Okay, there's a couple of things that are repeatable. We've got this sort of dotted line concept that repeats over here. We've got contrast happening here between the title, but we've got a repetitive color. Okay, and we've got the same thing with its orange color playing on the orange color here, and again, similar type styles. Okay, so we picked a couple of design decisions and we're going with it. We're repeating these elements. Of these four, the last one is proximity. And it's a little, it helps organize things immensely, understanding proximity. And basically is when you put physical things together, you're saying that they're intellectually related. If you take things and pull them apart, they're not related or they're less related. So in the top example here for this slide, what's the relationship between the child and the lady? Might be, or they might be together, they might be mother, son, they might just happen to be walking down the street relatively close to each other. Versus, okay, the point where they're together, in fact, holding hands here, you understand that they are They are intellectually related because of their physical relationship. Proximity does that. It helps organize things and group things together. Now, it's not like things have to hold hand, you have to draw big boxes around things, but it's most times as subtle as this example. So if you look at there's titles, great, and they're bold, that's great. There's some contrast there. But where these together are sort of intellectually related, but they're as close to the word quotes on motifs as women, death, mourning is. Like, there's no space there. By putting a little bit of space between the sections, what you've done is you've intellectually grouped things. Okay, you don't have to put a big sign around them or a big box around them saying these things should be together. The simple fact that they are close to each other lets you know that they are related. A menu. Okay, and I do this all. I go into a restaurant and I judge the menu. Like, how easy is it to find the food that I want? But that's important. If you're a restaurant, it means sales increase if people can find what they want on your menu. If they're confused and they're frustrated, they're not going to order what they want. You're going to make less money. So this example here, it's got all the same information, but the proximity of, we got everything, the starters are all grouped with a little space and then entrees. And of course, each item itself is separated a little bit as well. So again, we'll go back and just to think about the slides from Guy Kawasaki, the relationship and the spacing between the items. Okay, those are all, they're all designed intentionally. So we have, as the four elements, contrast, repetition, alignment, and proximity. Contrast, repetition, alignment, and proximity. Contrast, repetition, alignment, and proximity. What is it?
Yeah.
You want your stuff to look like crap. Contrast, repetition, alignment, and proximity. Okay, that's a little device there that helps you remember these things. Okay, you want to remember to use these devices. So I mean, we go through this like your attitude is your life on the left. Like, it's not designed it's not that interesting. It's proximity. Everything is equally spaced. There's not a lot of contrast between. I mean, you got a big title, but everything else is kind of bold and thick. And as we move through, they kind of get a little better. Okay, we use proximity to sort of group intellectually related items. We drag in some design and alignment techniques and finish it off with a little more contrast. And we get what is, hopefully perceived as a better end product for this slide or card than where we started. Okay. A couple of other things along the way. Oh, and well, this is my little. This is what I would call visually a disaster from a design perspective. Okay, what's the alignment for this? All over the place. Okay, what's the content? It does have a large title at the top. Okay, and that's kind of a good element, but everything else. Does anything else jump out at you? What jumps out at you on this? Okay, there's a little test I give people. There's actually two ways to look at this. One's called the squint test. Okay, so what that means is just if you're designing something, lean back in your chair and squint your eyes. Everything gets kind of blurry, right? Well, the stuff that's blurry and unreadable when you squint your eyes, no one ever sees that. The other way to think of it is, if it was printed on the side of a bus as it drove by, would you understand what's on it? There's the bus test and the squint test. Ask yourself those two things. Now, we know that you're designing, in this case, PowerPoint slides, keynote slides, whatever. And we know that people are going to have the luxury of watching what's on the screen. But if what's on the screen confuses people, okay, they don't get the information, number one, okay, and you have not fully communicated. Okay. So we see all kinds of alignment problems. We see contrast problems, proximity. We don't know what's related to what. It's a disaster. Most things look like that. I've just given you 5 rules. Okay. Now, you may not design the most compelling slide that's ever been designed, but I'm guaranteeing that everyone here today will make a better slide tomorrow than they did yesterday. 4 different things. I'm going to get a little bit into type as well. and again, I don't need to turn this into a massive design contest, but categories of type. There's all kinds of different typefaces out there, and on the bottom left, we've got, old style, modern, serif, slab serif, decorative, whatever. I usually put them in sort of three categories, three major ones. Sans serifed and serifed. Now, old style is more of a technical term for a serifed typeface. So what I mean by serif is that if you look at the top of the D, you see there's a little ledge, and the bottom of the the L or the D or the S has the little ledges. Okay, that's a more classic old style type. Where the ledges come from? Chisels. Yeah, chisels. When the Romans were like chiseling words into marble, they needed to cap it off. It's the width of the chisel. Okay. Now, none of you have ever used a chisel. You don't need to do that. Okay. You have? Oh, really? I see. I knew you were special when you walked in. You're psychic, and you're a carver, a mason. Yeah. You're a Renaissance man. But those typefaces are perceived as being older, maybe more reliable, maybe more permanent. Okay. Versus sans serif. Now, those are more modern. Sans serif typefaces really only existed, I just forget, but maybe like 100 years or so, maybe 150 or something like that. But they don't have the little ledges on them. Okay? They're seen as being more modern. They're more dynamic. Okay, they're more high tech. Okay, and you send a message with your typeface. If you want to be perceived as reliable and trustworthy, if you're a bank, which one of these two typefaces would you likely use? Maybe the old style. Okay, if you're a tech company with the newest gadget, what might you use? Now again, rules are made to be broken, but that's two ways you can think about it. Okay. The rest of them, and I'll go to script and decorative. Those are all brand new. Those came out with computers, okay, and multiple typefaces that evolved through the last 30, 40 years or so. They're great for accents, but like you can't write a paragraph of text in a script and really have anyone understand it. It's a nice decorative accent, but it's not easy to convey information in. The one I hate personally the most, anyone want to guess? What's the typeface I hate the most? Is that well, but more specifically? Anyone? Too well. What? You got an idea? Comic Sans. Right? What's that?
I was not able to remember the word comic, but like.
Again, you're reading my mind, right? Comic Sans, it's that cartoony, you know what I mean? It looks like it was, and people write business presentations in Comic Sans. Well, what, by using Comic Sans, what are they saying? Don't take me seriously, right? But people like it. Another one they use a lot, I see used a lot is marker felt, which I don't hate nearly as much. But you know the typeface, right? Marker felt, it looks like someone wrote with a marker. Which in the odd instance, if you wanted to make it look like it was a poster, that's fine, but you can't use it as a readable element. It's a design element. So the typeface you use actually conveys a message. There's non-verbal communication. And ultimately, when you look at an entire document, there's a thing we used to call a ransom note. You know, on TV, when someone would kidnap a child and they send a ransom note and it's cut out of the newspaper. Right, of all the different letters, every typeface in the newspaper gets cut and used in size and width and the whole bit. Ransom note. I remember the first document I ever designed back on a computer back in 1980 something, 88, 89. And I sat down at a friend, long story, but a friend of mine had one of the first Macintoshes. He was away, he couldn't do it for me, but you can sit at my computer. Great, I did that. There was like 14 typefaces on it. I used every one. I used every one, every size, every style, they're all there. It was awful. Not readable at all. But the whole point with type is you try to send a message. You can have concordant type or conflicting type. Okay. Concordant type is you can pick a typeface and and the other versions of it on the document work with it, okay? Okay, so for example here, in this bottom example, the L and these are italic or larger versions of the same font, the same typeface here, versus conflicting, okay? And conflicting, kind of like, it's almost like if they're really different, it contrasts. But if they're just a little different, it's like sandpaper. It grates on your nerves. So down here, full of sound, for example, it's a different type. The letters are spaced differently, okay? It's got a different angle to its serif. It's a different size, like, right. I once received, in a previous business I owned, advertised a position. I got like 50 resumes. And I'm going through the cover letters, and the person, we've all been there before. You're looking for a job, you're writing all kinds of resumes and cover letters, and all you're doing is really searching and replacing the company name. I know that everyone's done it. But in this case, someone had a search and replace, but the name of the company was different. It was a different color and a different font. I've always dreamed of working at your company. Okay. I want to have the position, right? Because it was a different size. It was unfortunate, because what did that mean? Of course, I know as an adult, you're sending out all kinds of resumes. But you gotta kind of look like you tried. Okay. So conflicting or contrast, I should say contrasting type, okay, creates contrast, and it makes for interest. So here we have a similar situation, full of sound and fury. It is obvious I had no intent of matching that typeface. It's done as a design element. So the contrast is better than conflict. Okay, so looking at like the integrity of your document. And again, very quick run through. This is the book, Robin Williams, Non-Designer's Design Book. If you look for it online, I think it might be worth about $20. It's about this thick, and it has a whole lot of other stuff in it, but it's a very easy read. And if you're going to have any career where you're going to be making presentations, this is a great investment. Are there any questions on physical design? Awesome. Okay. And I know some people have to have caught the bus, so they had to leave. So I think that's most of what I wanted to cover so far. I'm going to go back to my slides. So we've talked a little about the business case. And I provided you the lean canvas and the design thinking templates. Okay. No. Please visit the site. You've all got this magical machine. You have sitting in front of you more computing power than they used to put man on the moon. Okay. You got a magic search box that 40 years ago people dreamed of having. You can Google all this stuff and find much more in the way of resources and all kinds of other information. Please feel free to do that. You can come back to this center here. I'm over here through the week. We've got other classes and sessions that we do as part of some of the other stuff that we do here, that if you want to take part, we can go into some of these things in depth. Again, you don't have to, you or your friends, you don't have to be involved in the Health Innovation Pitch competition to come into the Sandbox and sort of work through some of our programs. So we've covered some of the business case scenarios. We've looked at putting graphically the side of putting a deck together. On Tuesday or Monday, we're going to look at some of the presentation skills, okay, and how to try to engage people. There's some absolutely fascinating stuff there. There's a few YouTube videos that I'll maybe direct you towards, and we might look at parts of. And we'll talk about actually engaging and communicating and presenting. We looked at Guy Kawasaki and his 10-20-30 rule, and we looked at his 10 slides. And again, I want to reiterate that I could say rules are made to be broken, but you have to understand the rules first. And there's a good starting template there. And as with some of the great questions we've had, you guys know that you don't have to carbon copy it. Your presentation is going to be unique to your situation, but you do have a common goal to work towards. We're going to look at maybe on Monday presentation and delivery and a couple of those aspects as well. Okay. Please take advantage of the resources we have here. Look at that lean canvas, and we actually go back to sharing. Check out the lean canvas that I provided. If you're online, please download the lean canvas and have a look at it. Feel free to come in here through the week, next week or next couple of days, I guess, and ask me some questions. Fill in as much as you can, get the information just on the paper, get it out of your head and get it on the paper, and then you can organize it as you go along. And then we'll start to take those ideas and concepts and we'll organize them to a deck. And on Monday, we'll talk about presenting the deck. On Wednesday, hopefully you will have some of your deck put together. Okay, it won't be complete. Okay, it wouldn't be perfect, I should say. It should be complete in the sense that you have all your basic ideas in there. And we will work with that on Wednesday. I'll provide you individual feedback, okay, in terms of the visuals that are there, in terms of how it's laid out, the information you provided. Is there too much? Is there too little? Is there something you're missing? Is there something that might be added? Is there a benefit to some benefit I can give you? And we'll sort of polish them up at that point for submission on Thursday next week. Do we have any other questions? 6:34.
Let you know in the mail.
Sorry?
Let you know in the mail.
We can mail you, we can email.
Oh, email, yeah. Todd _Graham at CBU.ca. So please feel free to email me or come in and, and see me next week. So Todd _Graham at CBU.ca. Any, okay, there's a question online. I think you might have to unmute your mic.
Todd.
Yep. What's that?
It's your email.
TODD _GRAHAM. And it's actually printed on there's a board out front. So out front there as well.
Thank you.
Is there a question online? Okay, maybe not. Anything else here before we wrap up? Okay, session's been recorded. Hopefully I have sound. And the last one I did turn the sound on. I double checked it. It should be working. The guys online here can hear me, so that's a good thing. Thank you for coming, and good luck with starting off the presentations. Start with the lean canvas, get some ideas down, start skeletoning out a pitch deck, and I'll see you guys on Monday evening. Same time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming in online.
Yeah, see you on Monday.